Game one of our second match of the day.
DWG Gaming will start on blue side, still on patch 9.1 if you're joining us for our second series of the day. Urgot going to be the first ban here, and we saw again Urgot Lissandra and those Urgot lanes be dominant for SKT as it was in Kesper Cup. So kind of business as usual when it came to SKT trends. DWG Gaming, they definitely were stretched the limit against Griffin. They saw the Sejuani for the first time and had to ban it by the end of that series, and Sejuani's only gotten stronger since then. Not a champion that Peanut has shown as much proficiency for. He's more of a Zac if he's playing Cinderhulk junglers. But when it comes to bans, definitely some respect being shown, I would say, largely to Nuguri with the Jace and the Aatrox first round ban by Gen G.
And the Camille is going to be the final ban, so the one that really stands out for me is that Akali, because Cuvée did show that didn't matter who he was facing, they are going to be taken down. But then the Cassiopeia also escaped my vision. She's going to be picked up straight away.
You got juked there. There was a Nocturne ultimate.
I got juked
inside
real hard,
it was
man.
a Cassiopeia. She is seen as supremely strong, but maybe this is a trade that Gen G are willing to give, because like you say, we came in as skeptics in the Kesper Cup. We said, okay, Cuvée, 30% win rate. Akali doesn't necessarily fit you as well as some of the other mages. And he was historically a mage player, was Cuvée. But they're not going to worry about that after Cuvée dominated it in Kesper Cup on the Akali. Most likely to be a top lane Akali for Gen G. And the Sejuani is much more tierless than we saw in game number one. Will be first rounded by Gen G.
Yep, they picked that one up very, very comfortable here for Gen G, but DWG, they've got the big guns. They've picked up the Snake Lady, and she can go just about anywhere. Put her in the bottom lane, put her in the mid lane, put her in the top lane, doesn't actually matter. She's just really damn strong. It's Canyon, thinking about going back to his old favorite in the Kha'Zix, is going to get locked in. Masterclass on the champion in the earlier matches of the Kesper Cup.
The Kesper Cup 2018 will be remembered for Sejuani coming out of nowhere pre-rework, but will be forgotten for the fact that Kha'Zix was the dominant jungler for the majority of the early tournament. And Canyon's Kha'Zix, some of this pathing on Kha'Zix was very, very good to see. They got the old Katie Rolster special, throwing in a global ultimate to back him up with the Galio. This is probably going to be the mid lane matchup, Sion versus Galio, so roaming mid laners on both sides. I think Fly is super happy that he gets to answer a mid lane pick rather than blind pick, because when you're blind pick against Showmaker, the Katarina, or his other assassins really leap up, but when you know the Galio's there, you can just try to go in-kind for in-kind and not get punished as hard in the actual 1v1 laning phase.
Yeah, and certainly still could switch things up, but we're not expecting Fly to be playing the Akali, as all you at home sitting there going, this is a flex pick, this is a flex draft. It's just not what we would consider to be the option to be taken here from Gen G, just knowing Cuvé's mastery on that champion. Bans coming through thick and fast though, Papa.
Tahm Kench is a really interesting pick on both sides, because I think Gen G want to last pick a hyper carry and carry through that. So the Ezreal's already banned on the side of DWG Gaming, and Gen G don't really want the team that has to face Sejuani and Sion to have a Tahm Kench. So I think Tahm Kench could be really big, and Tahm Kench will be banned. I think it's a smart ban from DWG, because they knew they wouldn't get it on their side, and they're just going to see a blind pick 80 carry after all. So because the Tahm Kench is denied, they just go for lane power. They take the Varus, and Varus is looking pretty damn good from Teddy in series number one.
Certainly looking strong, probably assuming that it'll be up against something like the Cassiopeia down there, but Nuclear can do something if he would like to mix that one up. Of course, Nuguri can be playing the Cassiopeia on the top side of the map.
All right,
a lot of funny
this is Nuguri going back to an old favorite of his. He's a really big Gangplank player, was considered the best Gangplank player in Korea, even when he wasn't in the LCK.
Yeah,
so it's ultra favorite for him.
People in the
However, Kali does seem like the sort of champion to roll through a Gangplank if Gangplank ever starts getting turret dive like Khan was on Rise. You can fall really far behind on this matchup. They were talking in the pre-match trash talk about how Nuguri goes boom or goes boom. It's definitely going to be explosive one way or the other way, Atlas.
Yeah, I think it was about 10-2 in 2018 on the Gangplank, but Vel'Koz to be locked in here. Does that mean we got Sion support, Papa Smith?
No, this is going to be a Vel'Koz support counter pick. Max love to do this on MVP.
I know.
Because you can just blow up the Black Shield pretty instantly. They have Varus against Cassio to outrange the Cassio, and they have a support counter pick as well. So this is actually Gen G looking to win lane, win game on the bottom side, and having plenty of tanks to roll up, and Cuvée will probably hold on to these summoners. This is the new summoner spell choice we see quite frequently on Akali and Korean solo queue. Ignite, Teleport. She's already got multiple ways to dash around. Her ult can be used defensively, her E can be used defensively, and Shroud needs no explanation. So they just take the teleport and then they ignite for the lane phase to kill that gangplank even faster. This is the sort of game where you load in some kills on top and bot, and Gen G, it might be very difficult for Damwon to even enter lane against them.
And we were talking about reads on the meta here as well, and Gen G have gone so aggressive in the draft, making sure that they can win things in laning phase. They're not building for team compositions.
This is a Trace special. Reminds me of his old Malzahar top lane, Graves top lane. He always was an off-kilter top laner. One of the veterans of the scene, already did his military service, so seamlessly transitioned into coaching. Now we've got Ignite, Teleport Akali. Again, not 100%, we'll see it in-game, but probably going to be Ignite, Teleport Akali. And the double counter pick on the bot side means that Canyon's going to have to be on his game with pathing, because if anyone falls behind on the side of Damwon, there's not a lot of people to bail them out.
The thing about it is that it's sort of going back to our last series, but the amount of wombo combo potential for this Damwon roster is just silly.
I mean, you get hit by a Glacial Prison, a Scion, and a Varus ultimate, and there's some wombo there too. There's no big beefy boys on the side of Damwon, so feels like people are going to be dying real quick.
Well, we'll see whether they can pull out that damage and whether that laning phase is what it's going to be all about as we hit the Rift for our first game of our second match of the day.
Ultra zoom-ins. Cheers to crowd. Waiting for some crowd cheers. Damwon Gaming. Will we get one? Gen G fighting's there. Damwon doesn't have that sorted out just yet. They're trying it. Yeah, see,
there we go.
That's an A for effort right there.
I was waiting. I had all the faith that we were going to get both of the cheers.
The blue side team is supposed to be cheered for first. That was why there was a pause.
Yeah, okay.
And then it was the, oh, crap.
And then the Gen G fans were like, oh, I guess you just passed. So that's fine.
Hey, they got a cheer. We can edit it back in the VOD to being before. Don't worry about it, guys. We have the technology.
All right. Well, we do have a very, very deep ward to go down, but it was answered on both sides. Of course, information being gained either side of the Rift.
Thank God teleport was nerfed. We never see teleport in the game anymore. No teleports, guys, in this game. Ignite laners everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that Rule is also taking it.
So, let's talk about why there's so many teleports. The teleport from Cassiopeia is a response. That's a, oh crap, we got double counterpicked. I need to teleport to get decent item timings in. That's why Healed is being run by Hoyt. Meanwhile, Ruler's taking it kind of Ashe style in the past, right? We saw Caitlyn and Ashe take the teleport lanes at MSI last year, so it's to kind of keep up pace with that. The teleports on Noguri, Showmaker, and Fly don't need to be explained, but Cuvée, like we said, you see this a lot in Korean solo queue recently because you have E, Ult, and the Shroud onto the Akali, the Ignite for lane pressure, and we already said that Gangplank feels pretty bold into Akali pre a couple of items like Asterix Gauge. The Ignite makes that kill pressure even more.
Well, you can see the mid lane. Still some trades going in here as Showmaker is making this Galio look pretty damn good into the Scion, but will be a tank matchup in the end. You expect no real solo kills or action to happen from that particular lane. We were checking out the top lane, and Noguri, we need to try and work out why this Gangplank was picked. Because yes, on paper, it feels like Akali's going to have a pretty decent time throughout this laning phase, but Noguri was so damn good on Gangplank. Might just be a way that he can turn it all around, and so far he's got the shove. So that minion wave needs to be dealt with now.
Shall I tell you why Noguri says that he picked this pick?
Why?
It's going to be comfort for him, but also because the coach okayed it, because the idea is a binding hits onto life, the large gargoyle comes down while the cannon barrage is happening, and you just gank bot a million times.
That is true.
That's why you go for this, but in the meantime, their 2v2 was heavily counterpicked. The reason why we say this, guys, from Morgana versus Vel'Koz as a support champion is that Morgana's kind of medium range, apart from her binding that's quite long range, but in general, her positioning is to walk up and try to fish for some W, you know, to put down the Tormented Soil and get a bit of gold back. In the meantime, Vel'Koz has lots of long-range abilities to puncture through the Black Shield basically instantly. Black Shield should get zero value on the side of Damwon Gaming because Akali, Sejuani, Scion, Varus, and Vel'Koz can all disarm it, and especially the Vel'Koz in the laning phase. Well, hold that point. Cuvé's taking a lot of free damage.
Yep. Thankfully, the Shroud is available, but Peanut does a wraparound, and he cannot go in anymore because his Akali is too low on health. Canyon waiting up in the wings as well.
That was actually a really good top lane sense by Noguri, because going aggressive there and fishing for more damage meant that he couldn't 2v1 because Cuvée was too low.
Yeah.
And he would have got a trade kill. So he definitely read that really well. And Noguri was the biggest person to level up in Casper Cup compared to some of the previous times. In promotion, I thought Noguri was their weakest performer. When Damwon Gaming qualified, Showmaker looked a lot more impressive in that tournament. In the Kesper Cup, Noguri was godlike. in the top lane. He had some games where he ended up dying a lot because there was no way to help him out. But in general, he was the reason they won a lot of their games. So good to see good read on the 1v1 laning phase there from Nogger.
Yeah, and his rise being probably one of the most impressive that I've ever seen as far as getting ahead. The guy was flame horizoning sub 25 minutes. It felt like it looked easy for him. Gonna go home now and see what he can augment this item build with. 35 CS. Does have that sheen. Picked up already. Went for Grasp of the Undying just to make sure that he doesn't fall down. No Klepto for the Gangplank this time against the Akali because it is a little bit more of a difficult lane.
So the big threat is on Ruler and Life this game. Meanwhile, that doesn't go to plan, and we saw Jinna unable to execute that Wombo comp in game number 1. The chance of winning through lane is really high on Gen G and top and bot lane, so those are the variables that both teams are intensely aware of. How those level 6 plays into bot side work out is probably going to decide this game.
Well, let's keep our eye out for that. As Showmaker has the shove in the mid lane. Both of these champions pretty good at dealing with the minions, but it's the Gargoyle that was able to get it done this time, get some vision available. Damwon Gaming actually with a lot of wards around that mid lane, making sure that they can keep Showmaker safe.
Job of Peanut is basically every time his sweeper is off cooldown, come back down this area and clear out any wards that would allow a safe turret dive to be made by Damwon Gaming. Holding a control ward around the Gromp area, maybe onto the blue buff, wherever the positioning you best just be. That's what you really need to do as Peanut. Obviously, proactive ganks are a wonderful thing too, but he's mostly here for a counter gank given that he swept a ward on bottom side.
Yep. Throws down a control ward here as well. I don't think he was seen. Didn't quite see the things coming out here, but Damwon Gaming underneath their turret on the bottom side of the map. Arrow actually doing a fair bit of damage here from Ruler at the moment on top of the pretty squishy Snake Lady in Nuclear.
And drawing your attention to Keystone choice, Noguri went Grasp, and after that really one-sided trade where Peanut was around topside, he's never been able to reset the lane very well. He doesn't have level 6 till now and doesn't have any items. So because of that, Cuvée is actually having one of those awkward Akali laning phase options where he knows his jungler's bot side, so he can't push up. He can't take aggressive all-ins because he doesn't have an item advantage. So kind of paying the price of the strong trade that Noguri took topside, and with the Grasp reinforcing the Gangplank, at least for now, pre-one item, Cuvée is struggling.
Yeah, struggling, but 10 CS, you know, it's not going to be insurmountable, especially if he gets some help, as Peanut does make his way towards the top side yet again. Pings coming out here on the side of Gen G. I believe that Canyon was spotted one point in his journey as red buff going to be started here by the Kha'Zix. Not sure that Peanut's going to be able to get over to this Brambleback. Not going to even try, as he knew that he was going to be the isolated target.
Very interesting decision by Ruler. He's gone for Comet Varus to double down on punishing the team comp from Damwon. He went for the Comet. That would have been our first spoiler there, but the lethality obviously on the Serrated Dirk is the confirmation. Again, this works really well against Morgana, Cassio, mid-range mages that get poked out by a Q-Max Varus. But it does mean that there are certain damage concerns in team fights. Now, games don't often go that late for lethality Varus to fall off in the current meta, but it's not going to be auto-attack Varus. It's going to be much more about, can we get a fully charged Q onto Canyon, Nuguri, Nuclear, or Hoyt, and thus take an objective without a fight. It's kind of a bloodless choice, but it certainly is going to mean high DPM numbers.
Yeah, it is it's a different way of getting through these potential team fights as well, because we saw SKT's approach was to just win the 1-3-1, then just get more money, be better, and take turrets down. What Gen G's approach, I guess, could theoretically be is make sure that they're too low to even engage and then siege on them and be able to take turrets that way. There are certainly multiple ways to skin a cat, as Fly's skinning this turret in the mid lane, takes down one of the turret plates. Showmaker not here in time.
Here's the first turret plate. They're invading with Peanut now. Canyon going to spot him.
We got to clear out this ward here as well. Control ward going down, I think courtesy of Fly. That will be both of the Bramblebacks of this round of buffs taken by Canyon.
Canyon was on the receiving end of the Sejuani by Tarzan. Different Sejuani this time with Peanut, but he has been a big fan of the Q evolve Kha'Zix, pretty standard in solo queue. Klid, when he does play Kha'Zix solo queue, often goes for W as the first evolve, which is a bit more of a scouting and annoying utility build. So there isn't complete agreement among Korean junglers.
The most recent I saw was Ambition going QW, but I guess he just streams now.
He is a surprisingly warm personality for
he's fantastic.
The man whose meme is, I'm kind of like an axe murderer.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting it to be so entertaining.
All about the warm and fuzzies here the first day at Lowell Park.
Certainly recommend checking out Ambition if you've got some time. Showmaker thinking about putting himself up here towards the top side, but actually just eating some mana back with that honey fruit.
Showmaker's Aftershock users were kind of disparate at Kesper Cup. You'll remember, Atlas, that his Lysandra play was often him looking on as he wasn't able to get the initiation he wanted, and his timings were a bit off. Galio a bit more forgiving in that. You can just press W flash and do the work yourself in terms of a true AoE engage. But he looked a little bit more convincing on the Galio, so definitely all of the Aftershock users happier to see him on that. Bot side hasn't meant a big CS lead yet, but this is a matchup that gets better and better for the Lethality Varus. As top side, we already mentioned that you got to put the brakes on damage items, and it might just be a really early Spectre's Cowl from Nuguri.
Well, he is certainly, he's got the items for it, the bits of it anyway, but might also be the Mercury Treads as well as the Phage, as Fly's doing some funny stuff as the Scion here. The slowdown does come in, and he's just going to have to play defensively because his jungler is soloing out the Drake. Canyon, ultimate has been pressed already here. Leap does come down. That is a lot of time where he was unable to be seen, but it's just not quite enough to grab them the gank. I believe that was actually an ultimate evolve first here for Canyon. A little bit of extra duration it was. So, see whether he can steal this away. He can't. Not able to get the kill, but doesn't even get a flash. Just gets the ult out from Fly.
Gets the ult out. Canyon was quite defensive there. A lot of junglers, especially in solo queue, would have flashed in front of the Scion, but the problem with that play is they had no vision bottom side, and if the counter gank was there, he'd be stunned, squishy, and dead. So went for the safer choice, and was probably too brazen in Kesper Cup, so I don't mind it. Hindsight shows he probably would have got the kill onto Fly if he had made the aggressive flash, but it's a little thing to talk about as line skill shots.
Yeah, we've got all of the ultimates flying forward onto Nuclear, but he does have the flash and gets himself out of the way. That's 3 R buttons traded for an F.
Upside.
Yeah, okay, Cuvate going for it. Does have the ultimate second charge available, but Cannon Barrage is going to deny that one for the moment. Noguri just having a good time, standing in his own cannon, and Cuvate can't do anything. Just has to wait for that one to finish off.
Swapping map pressure across the map, but the Drake is the permanent thing that's picked up on the side of Gen G. Important note, though, is that despite having this struggling 2v2, there is no CS lead to speak about on the side of Gen G, and they don't have a turret plate either, so bot lane going better than expected. Someone back away, and Sterix Gage first. We saw this build come out from Chovy. Fly was front row. He was on the receiving end of this AD Scion, and if the Tiamat comes next, we know that a Titanic Hydra and some burst AD Scion is on the rift.
And it's so damn fun to watch as well, so thanks Chovy for giving us that one. Reminds me of that old Donkey video of, oh yeah, he's the best right now. But using it for a build instead, deciding that, hang on, if it beats me, obviously this one's going to be the one that we need. Turret plate should go down here on the bottom side as Ruler. Not a lot of attack speed, but has a lot of damage now available with the Ghost Blade. You can see Hoyt demonstrating that for us pretty nicely.
This game is very, very close. We're not seeing any blowouts just yet, although we did have moments like that in our first series as well. Lethality Varus, the biggest surprise, I'd say, of the in-game choices that have been made.
Yeah.
But you can see that a couple of Qs later, Nuclear every time is going to be smarting, and Black Shield, again, does really little against this duo.
Yep, and gasp from the crowd, as you can understand there as well, as he's just chunked and chunked and chunked and chunked and chunked.
Will he hit it?
Peter, ooh.
Bit short on that one.
Yeah, he really did. Short-armed it. It's unfortunate. The cricket references can come out again, Papa, if we want to, as Noguri going to avoid the E, but otherwise going to lose out on that trade for the moment. Again, these champions, a fair bit of sustain available in their kits.
But we're still short of an all-in, still no Gunblade being worn by Cuvée, so even with the Ignite, he's second-guessing any decisions to go super aggressive. We still haven't seen the bot lane play, the pack up, throw a Cannon Barrage down bot and see what happens play, but Cannon Barrage will be off cooldown in about 20 seconds here for Noguri, and right now Peanut has put basically the entire game into counter-ganking and helping out bot as one of those Q-Comet trades, as Nuclear says, well, guess it's time to TP.
Yep, and also Peanut, he was down towards the bottom side. They knew it, and now it means that that Snake Lady cannot stay in this lane at all, and more turret plates are going to go over to Gen G. This is where their point of power is and always has been. How did you catch that, Life? That was incredible. Teleport going to come in just to try and save this turret as the plate not going to be taken down, has hit the 14-minute mark, so will no longer be able to gain anything from those. Gen G getting all of the turret plating gold so far this game. As QV dashing back to his shroud there.
Slippery champion. Is this Prestige Akali in the top side?
Yes.
Where does this matchup go? Is the Hex Drinker enough? Because now Nosterix can be bought because of the overlapping shields between Hex Drinker and Sterix Gauge. Hex Drinker obviously a lot more useful in the early game.
And if we're looking at, you know, first item spikes as well, of course, Trinity Force for GP has always been the thing. Gunblade for QV has always been the thing. When they hit that one item spike, who then is the strongest? Is that when Akali can take over the matchup?
I mean, given this game, we're not going to have the equal one item because we have Hex Drinker interrupting the Trinity Force. True. It's definitely going to be an earlier Gunblade. I would still give the credit to Gunblade because you're all in range onto a Gangplank especially is probably about 70% in terms of one round of your skills. Guys, we have a pause here. No updates as to what the issue is, but as you can tell from the overlay here, not a lot to pick apart between Damwon and Gen G in the early game.
About 700 gold, feeling like a very Gen G game. So I guess theoretically that does put a little bit of favor in the Gen G basket, given the fact that they are very used to games like this. However, I'm just looking at Nuguri having a pretty decent laning phase, very cool, calm, and collected on a Gangplank who can just scale out of control. Yes, he has taken the Grasp of the Undying, but that just means it takes a little while longer to pick up all of his items. But what do Gen G like to do? They like to take a little while longer.
And the trap you see is that, these champions scale pretty good on both sides, right? There's a lot of champion picks, like, nice, I could see that at 3 items. And the update that it seems like it's a Hoyt issue. So Hoyt's the support of Damwon Gaming having some computer issues. The reason why I say it's a trap, Atlas, is that remember what Gen G has. They don't have ruler insurance policy, man, that attack speed crit, and AD is going to work out well. They have a very, very powerful mid-game champion and a champion who, off the screen, can chunk you for half your health. That's what Avaris Q can do when you go Lethality Comet build. What that tells you is, in the mid-game, Damwon have to make a pick, right? They have to start something, because if they just hang back and try to farm, the moment that Varus is put in the mid lane, they're going to get poked to death, right?
Yeah.
But the problem there is, you're like, okay, Galio, but Galio's not going to be able to do it himself. He needs someone to use the hero's entrance to jump on. The only person they really have that can do that is Kha'Zix, I guess, and Kha'Zix is a lot more conspicuous most of the time. So actually setting up an initiation where Gen G have to use flashes to pull away from rather than just walk away defensively is actually quite tricky for this Damwon draft to actually do. And because of that, scenarios where Damwon in the mid game can actually use some decent farm and items to actually kill the enemy are going to be tricky. I think we need Gen G mistakes for that to happen in the mid game. Now, by the late game, there are different variables to talk about, but in the mid game, I actually worry that Damwon might not be able to pull the trigger when they want to.
Well, I think at least evolving the ultimate might actually help get the Kha'Zix into a backline if he can make his way from a brush or something like that in the mid lane, things like that. But there's no doubt that that is going to be warded, that the vision is going to be there for Gen G, as we do have the pause unpaused. Thankfully, we fixed Hoyt's computer. Everything is fine. You're going to be charged here from Ruler, and he'll just clean up this minion wave. Another Serrated Dirk now in the back pocket. Best thing about Lethality Varus is that you notice every Serrated Dirk that you buy. That just feels the best each time.
The worst part for the enemy laner is that every time someone piles on a Dirk or any of those 1100 AD items, if you're building more standard things, it's so hard to match it, right? A crit AD carry has nothing they can do to copy. And here, Cassio's just kind of building emergency items. The item build here, like Seraphs and piecing together a Seekers is just, oh my god, I'm hurting, please make it stop, which is not ideal for min-maxing damage, and it means more time before Cassio's damage will truly be online. We're talking about mostly base values to about 25 minutes into the game with this build.
And you know that he wants to be building that Archangel, stacking it up as quickly as possible, not going for the Luden's option this time. A little bit more scaling available here for Nuclear, and wants to stay in that lane a little bit more, as there's the ult combo once again. This time, there's no way out. That flash was so close to being off cooldown.
Yeah, Morgana had already roamed, and like you say, the timing was finite but on point, but Ruler
is in so much trouble. Canyon, can he get in there? Yes, he can. We got a huge knock-up on a Peanut as well. Good stopwatch to deny the Justice Punch, but still gets taunted. so much damage here as Canyon is just on an absolute tear. All the shields coming in. Fly even has to get himself the hell out of there because the teleport from Noguri comes in to save his life, and the Kha'Zix is well and truly unlocked.
We look away after first blood and disaster strikes Gen G. We're going to have a replay to understand how that map position came to be. But Canyon just so easy to first assassinate Ruler, then turn attention onto life, despite being a Kha'Zix with a warrior enchant. Nicely done there by Damwon Gaming to capitalize. Sounds like the replay will be coming very short.
Yeah, we get to have a look at it once again, guys. So this is Nuclear getting popped. Flash from Ruler, so a lot of respect given over here.
So we saw this play, we saw Nuclear die, and we thought that was the end of the story. Life is just clearing wards here, so let's understand how Canyon make this happen. They don't clear the vision because they're respecting Canyon being there. He comes in with stealth, and by the time they're actually aware that Ruler's under threat, they have no way to peel him off. The Black Shield timing, which wasn't used on the AD carry because Morgana was roaming, is left available. Life separates himself from his team. You need to fight with your tank line to not be isolated against the Kha'Zix. A Kha'Zix's dream and Life's nightmare means that Damwon actually escaped with 3 kills and the Infernal.
Yeah, we thought Evolving Ult wasn't as good anymore. Canyon made it look busted in that fight, getting that extra stealth opportunity, having a little bit of more time there as well. Slunk around the fight. And, you know, Cube thinks that he's the one that gets obscured all the time. Feels like Canyon's having a great time doing it also. Gunblade now done, speaking of Cube, and the Trinity Force is there as well from Noguri at about the same time. So we were talking about those spikes being thrown off a little bit with the Hex Drink, but I think those buys came in basically the same position.
And Canyon had probably the highest highs and lowest lows of almost any player in the Kesper Cup, at least personally for him, because he was dominating some matchups, outpathing LCK junglers on the Kha'Zix and making really smart map reads. And then he was really kind of put in the dumpster by Tarzan. Like, Tarzan gave him a lesson in that grand final, which is acceptable. This is the 17-year-old solo queue prodigy. When he's good, he can be really good, and he's feeling frisky.
Yeah, he's trying once again. We've got the hero's entrance to come down. Life just gets killed by it alone, as now Showmaker may have overextended a little bit, but Ruler's auto attacks aren't what we're fearing right now. We're waiting for cooldowns. Good flash. Get out of the decimating smash, but Peanut nails the ultimate. Now Hoyt needing to run away. Cannon Barrage to deter Gen G. And they just can't get a counter engage.
And these are plays where they have the Cannon Barrage advantage, and while that one isn't actually used to a huge advantage, they're outnumbering Gen G and making proactive plays that are smart. They're putting down this Rift Herald here as well for mid lane turret. Damwon's map moves are looking really intelligent. They've definitely leveled up since Kesper Cup.
This is extremely clean, and this was the question that you had for them, Proper. What are they going to be able to do as a team? We know. We can't deny their mechanical skill. However, it was how they were going to get together and what decisions they were going to make based on their comp around the map, and this looks really nice.
We knew if Damwon was going to win or lose a game in the Kesper Cup based on whether their jungler was ahead. And speaking of junglers...
Yep, Peanut's down to half health, so at the moment I'd say that Canyon is ahead based on health bar.
Canyon did not seem to have, or Damwon as a team did not seem to have a way to actually come back when a skirmishing disadvantage was there in the jungle. That was something they weren't able to navigate. The Sejuani games, wherever he fell behind and was read and was scouted, Damwon Gaming couldn't close the game. But when Canyon was having his way with the enemy jungler, they looked pretty unassailable. And this is the start of a pretty damn good Kha'Zix game. He's 3 kills strong already.
Yeah, but somehow that Black Shield worked beautifully as well. Hoyt with the timing there, looking stunning. Showmaker, you can see this flash, gets him out of dodge, and then the Cannon Barrage stops the follow-up.
It wasn't ideally used in this fight. I'm not sure if it was just coming off cooldown, but you're right. Space control and strong, quick skirmishing with the Galio backup is what Damwon are trying to do. We talked about it being about map plays. We didn't know it would be top lane dives rather than bot lane dives. They never made those bot lane dives happen, but they were gifted a couple of kills by Ruler and Life's misplay, and now things starting to fall into place for Damwon Gaming.
Yeah. Okay, so now what happens next is the question. Is Canyon jumps forward, but Fly is going to get the stun in. Quite able to utilize shields or anything like that. Showmaker up towards the top side of the map, just 1v2 against the poke combo.
You know how this one goes. Galio throws huffs and puffs and blows some minion waves down. He is, in fact, the big bad wolf of the game. We don't have Warwick, so we can't use that one.
Not in this particular game. He is still in League of Legends, though.
Is he? Are you sure?
Yeah, remember, he recently got a buff.
I know, but I think
one base damage.
When it comes to my solo queue games, he's definitely in milk carton territory of, have you seen this wolf? Please let me know.
Yeah, his screen seems to be grey all the time. This is a problem. Bottom side of the map, though, we've got things a bit topsy-turvy as we're moving our bottom lanes mid for Damwon Gaming, and then keeping the Akali on the bottom side of the map, solo 1v1 against the Gangplank. Does this mean that Gen G can get some priority on this outer turret on the top side of the map? And Showmaker says no. He's got plenty of wave clear.
Gen G are finding it hard because they lost that advantage bot side and been counter-rotating to set up the ideal scenario. We've mentioned that already. That's rolling through mid lane, harassing people down with Comet Varus. Problem is, they lost the mid lane turret because of some really nice tempo plays with the Rift Herald from Canyon. And now, it's not where Varus is, the action comes. They're playing around the Comet Varus and just playing a skirmish game. So Damwon have navigated a pretty tricky game to execute. During that pause, we're saying, how do they simulate this? We couldn't have seen the really smart moves into Rift Herald, getting the mid lane turret down. Sion usually doesn't lose his mid lane turret for 30 minutes because he just wave clears forever and ever. But with the turret down, Gen G have been second to Damwon's rotation, and that's been a really good thing to track from Damwon Game.
What's been fun to track for me has been Canyon and what he's decided to evolve each time. He took Leap as his second evolution to make sure that he could be the Galio delivery system that they need. He will cross so much distance in just one charge of that ultimate, and will be able to get the Galio into the backline, force flashes, make sure Ruler can't actually be that dominant force to stop them from doing anything in this mid game where he should be flourishing with a couple of items now. Edge of Night picked up actually from Ruler just to give himself some more defensive options.
And I hope what we're seeing here, the fact that we've seen W, R, and Q evolve on cards over time, is kind of what was obviously originally intended. There was never supposed to be a min-max, right? It was always supposed to be, what is my game state? Okay, I'll max that ability first. I'll evolve that ability first. Leap second is pretty damn common. Here's the Sejuani.
Yep, that is going to be once again the Snake Lady being aggressed onto, but now able to turn around. They don't have the damage to get rid of Nuclear. And now Canyon dives into the backline, gets rid of the Vel'Koz. And that will be that. I feel like Gen G now are scrambling their game plan. What do they do?
The stun lands on Ruler and he dies. He did not have a QSS at the time. He did not have his shield available on this Edge of Night. And Kha'Zix is, like you say, having a field day. They're popping off, and now they say, what about a Baron?
Yeah, what about Showmaker jumping into the backline as well? Gen G throw all of their abilities at him, and not going to take any damage, but deterred from continuing a fight. And now they're going to utilize the gigantic amount of damage that they have in Canyon, as well as Noguri and Nuclear.
There's a lot of damage still to contest here, and Showmaker's behind the play.
Yeah, Cube diving forward very early on in this one. 4 members, but they are quite low. Hero's entrance not going to get denied, so they will reposition together. And now Noguri has to be respected with this black shield that's more difficult to break without the Vel'Koz handy.
Still pretty big for Gen G to force a defensive Hero's entrance and a full retreat without needing anything more on their side. Pushing to the mid lane here, they don't know that Gen G has 3 members lying in wait, but Damwon Gaming not bold enough to walk up.
Yeah, that was really cheeky, but Damwon mostly going to go home, buy some more items, get themselves sorted out. We are going to have a replay just to check out exactly what went on.
So I think this is a sniper binding from Hoyt. We need to watch the replay because they don't know Hoyt is here. Don't know how that Sejuani ult didn't hit him. Let's watch for the stun, and yes, it is a binding onto Ruler into just death. He's just taken down so easily. I think Life is going to have flashbacks of a insect jumping on his face and killing him in his sleep tonight. Yes. Nightmares, dreams, we're not sure which one, but right now at least, Vel'Koz died again.
He's dead,
to Canyon.
And that's once again
it was a premonition by Papa Smith.
Thanks, Bob. Canyon's going to turn up towards the top side. Fly not too worried about it, as now Peanut trying to throw some Winter's Wrath at him, but Canyon's not too worried here at this stage. 4-0-2 on the Kha'Zix.
Life is trying to go for a budget Twin Shadows abusing style Glacial Augment build, and he's got the Super Soaker already with the GLP, but he is obviously still going to be super squishy. We know how this works. Life was in the shop.
Well, I mean, he also couldn't see Canyon.
Yes, but
not his fault.
He responded pretty late, and he also was very, very greedy with his back spot.
Well, the only time
he saw him kill the ward.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he cleared a ward first, and then he cleared his life. The ward might take about the same amount of time.
Yeah, I assume like Life didn't actually understand that his like range of stealth is that high. Maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't have assumed that if it's the Kha'Zix in my game, because they've all evolved QW.
If you're unsure of where the R evolve is now, because it's the one that's been changed a bajillion times in the past, right now it's 3 charges and 2 second stealth instead of, I think it's 1.25 seconds.
So you're stealth longer and you get an extra go at it. Which we've seen Canyon actually put to great effect. It's not like your Q does no damage if
wait till his
you
Q
don't evolve
is
it.
evolved.
Oh, God.
Maybe he just evolves W. Maybe he doesn't need it. To be fair, 3 people here are very queuable without the evolved one, and you probably don't want to queue Sion and Sejuani that much.
No, not too psyched about it. Kenny clearing more vision. Life not walking up this time. Not hopping into that shop like you were talking about. This Ruler does need to be careful, but instead he's just going to ult him. Yeah, there's the combo. Gen G, they can do that every single time.
Too bold from Canyon that time. That's what happens when everything's working for you. You feel too strong. And that means the jungler's down, and now there's a lot of different things that Gen G can do. If they make this game about a Baron, they can force some teleports. They can also take control over this Drake, going to be spawning in 5 seconds. They lose bot lane turret, and Gen G, look at this, then definitely not putting their hands in the cookie jar, even though there's a bit of an invitation from the side of Damwon Gaming.
Yeah, they are going to be able to take a Drake, but like you say, losing bottom out of turret. Juve going to spend his time on the top side, and they get a free push in mid. Gen G now slightly out of position. We'll see whether Damwon actually want to start some sort of fight here, but not going to get any visible damage from those barrels. Nogari's going to go home.
Oh, he's already level 16, so this game has gotten there pretty early. Level 16s on both the top laners. With the more Mortis done, and now the Youmuu's Ghost Blade, it looks like a build made for fighting, but it's really good at running away from Akali as well.
Yeah, and sometimes you need that, as he's actually using it to run towards the Akali at this point in time.
Here's Canyon, just going to clear out a ward, and probably just a bait from chasing any further onto QV. He's got his lesson from the last time. 3-item core is being done on all sides. Ruler going to be working towards his 3rd serrated Dirk item, but the game just hasn't gone how we first anticipated, and Ruler's ability to siege has meant nothing. Now you get a Baron, and suddenly the enemy team is sitting on a turret and absorbing 1,000 damage Qs. That's where the build really comes together. But the style of the game hasn't suited Ruler, and in general, when Gen G haven't played towards Ruler's tendencies, they've just straight up lost.
Yep, and now Peanut possibly having his jungle taken away from him, but is able to get his Krug camp at least. Canyon has to be careful, as that Black Shield's not going to help against the piercing arrows.
Yeah, about 600 damage from not a fully charged piercing arrow.
May not have been a W augmented one either, because 3 items, 3 serrated Dirk's worth of lethality as well on the Varus is very, very scary.
Front line from Gen G, very powerful. If they can get the engage into a chain of corruption, that first person will die quickly. But if you make it about skirmishes, Damwon have shown again and again they can do some really cool things. Game 1 of our 2nd series at Lowell Park. The Baron buff seems almost impossible for both teams to start. Damwon are too squishy to start it, and Gen G are worried about being collapsed upon by the GPE and the Galio. So because of that, the game around the Baron won't be as swift as in other games. And Gen G are still smarting from an early game that's been pretty dominated by Damwon.
Yeah, Damwon really taking control there. But Gen G did show us that they can get those reliable picks. One of those single target CCs lands, they can press all of their buttons once again, and that person dies. As long as it's, Canyon or Nuclear at this point. I think Showmaker, might take a bit of killing in order to take him down. Nogari possibly the same.
It's also a game where we can show off some of the changes in minions as well, because Damwon are winning. They have all 3 outer turrets down. And remember, the change's been discussed on Reddit. It was something that some pros picked up on when the patch notes came out. With minions moving so fast, I believe they reach max speed at 30 minutes, which will be crested very, very shortly. You don't get a reverse push anymore. If you push the minion wave in, it freezes towards the enemy inner turret. And because of that, free resources are donated to Akali, or whoever's picking up the minion waves in the side lanes for Gen G. That sounds like a lot of psychobabble, a lot of chatter. If you don't fully understand the game on that deep level, what it means on a basic level is if you're ahead, you need to push your advantage, otherwise there's free gold for the enemy. It's almost like the Centerlink pay is going up, but overall paychecks are the same. So because of that, the charity gold going to Gen G is free gold, and Damwon Gaming aren't growing their lead like you would usually in this game state. They're actually losing their lead.
Yeah, the idea is try and shove it further, try and pick up more, I guess, is the idea. All suffered at the hands of that particular change in solo queue. I was used to always just shoving out the wave, and then, my opponent just seems to be
now, is it 100% exactly the way the game goes? No, because the advantage, if you're ahead, is you push the wave, the enemy has to respond to it, and you can still push and rotate. That was the big thing Korean pros were saying before this entire season started, was there's a lot more focus on pushing one wave and getting in there. Damwon haven't been able to make a proactive play like that for a few minutes, and right now the game is stalled.
Yeah, getting in there is the difficult time, I guess, and Gen G was showing us that they're the team that had the ability to do that. They're the ones that have that pick CC, and the proactive mindset might be that, you know, this is Damwon's first LCK match. Certainly the nerves will be there as Canyon, he's pressed his Ghostblade button. He's ready to find his way in somewhere. Banshee's Veil done here for Nuclear, who also has the Zhonya's Hourglass on the way. A lot of utility available here for the Cassiopeia with Raleig's Crystal Scepter as well as the Seraph's Embrace Shield.
A lot of summoners available though, so the chance of shutting someone down on the side of Gen G is very, very low. Gen G are the ones that have the pick CC. That's pretty unanswerable. If the chain starts to roll, it's going to keep going. But for now, a lot of parity. 9 kills kind of happened all clumped into one. Nalgori pushes into the top side. And just feels like the first teleport's going to lead to 6 or 7, and the explosive action we're craving.
And the thing that's really scary here as well, if you're a Gen G fan, like I assume most people are in this particular matchup, because Damwon, not a lot of people have known a lot about them. If you weren't watching the Casper Cup, you may not have fallen in love with Showmaker yet for playing Katarina into almost any game he wants to. But I'm scared as as someone who's watched Gen G a lot, because there's a Gangplank on the other side. There's a Cassiopeia on the other side. There's a Galio. There's so many incredibly powerful picks that only get better as the game goes on, that it could be worrying moving into that late game where you want to rely on Ruler, but this is not the same massive DPS Varus. This is, I'm going to burst you, Varus, which is much more powerful in the mid game.
Is that what that means from the Gen G side of the coin is, with all those scaling threats? Make the game about the siege. And the only way you can do that after not being able to rotate so well in the early game is get that Baron. The Baron is the really important thing here. I think the Baron is the one way to square up this game for Gen G, out part of a severe outplay. And we just can't forecast those with how the game has been so close recently. So a Baron plan is what Gen G are looking for, is Peanuts playing the good old Gragas bowling game of staying as close to Baron as possible and putting down control walls to stop the enemy starting.
Yeah, can't put down barrels, unfortunately, which is Gragas' playstyle, of course.
It's not a great bowler.
Yeah. Well, he's got one bowl, but unfortunately it's on a much bigger cooldown. Life is helping out though. Pushing into a Vel'Koz is always frustrating, even if it is a support Vel'Koz. Super Soaker helping with his damage, just mildly. Top lane out of turrets. Both of them that are still remaining in trouble as Canyon launching into the backline just destroys Life. Cannon Barrage stops Ruler from being able to even stand there, and they've managed to single out that one target they wanted to get rid of. Fly can't really do anything. Showmaker is an immovable object. They cannot get around, and Gen G routed once again. The Kha'Zix just unseen for way too long.
And it's so assertive, Atlas. They make the clear play. There's no time for QV to even come in and do something. He's not able to influence that fight at all. And the problem is, the moment you respond to Kha'Zix, you have to respond to the Galio. You have to get out there. He gets his first kill, and now they're on the Baron.
Ruler is still alive though, and he can do a lot of damage waiting around this Baron pit, but look at how quickly it goes down. Nuclear just does so much damage. Peanut just pressured out of the pit, and that does mean the Baron going over to Damwon Gaming. So far, it has been such a beautiful game from this squad. The squad of rookies that haven't been in the LCK yet. They dominated challenges, and now they want to be the next Griffin. Not gonna lie to you, with performance like this, I'm beginning to believe.
I love assertive, aggressive League of Legends, and when we see this replay, you'll see what they do. Given all the variables they have, they don't need anyone to group, they just go straight in. And the Gangplank ult and the Galio ult means you can't actually turn around and try to DPS down the squishy Kha'Zix. You have to get the hell out of town. Couldn't get far enough away, could fly it. They get the 2 kills. Showmaker's smart around peeling off Baron at 4,000 health to stop there being any potential contest from Peanut. And the defensive play from Gen G hasn't worked out, and Damwon being wantonly aggressive is working out big time.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. The amount of respect Ruler had to give to Canyon's damage meant that he got no damage off in that fight whatsoever. There was no ability for the Varus to make any impact because he had to run away. He would have just died in one rotation like Life did. Does have a mortal reminder now, but it's not exactly going to change the hopes for a lot of these champions on the other side. Nuclear, I guess, has a lot of self-healing. The Twin Fangs giving him the extra healing availability there, but otherwise, no worries. And
Now Damwon, you can see how the items come together because they've got a lethality Varus, lethality Kha'Zix says. Galio will
and all
slowly
of the
get away
buttons
here.
going the wrong way. That's a proto belt that denied about everything.
That's true.
Right there is Canyon.
Right now,
over reward.
Canyon is soloing down Ruler and Life, and then Nuclear has gone Rylai's Leandries for killing tanks. So their items even suit the targets they're getting access to, and there's no way to deny this R-evolved Black Shield, Galio, and Gangplank ult backing up Kha'Zix. Not necessarily a sentence I thought I'd be stringing together, but damn, is it pretty damn effective for Damwon Gaming.
Yeah, I'm taking notes, trying to work out what this meta is, and we said that it was going to evolve, things were going to change. Noguri in trouble, or is he? Who's catching who? As Showmaker gets himself out of the knockup from the Vel'Koz, in comes Fly. The choo-choo train is there. They do manage to get a lot of the combo down, but Canyon just Goomba stomping the members of Gen G. There are more leaps available. Can he get access to the backline? Nuclear goes literally nuclear on top of the backline of Gen G. And the base will be destroyed after most of the champions of the side of Gen G.
Damwon Gaming looking to big up some of the high expectations for this team. They want to close it now, and there's a chance they can.
Yeah, Kha'Zix took control from very early on in this game.